it over. No. We're back with definitely the first take.
The first
take. We're a one take wonder show here.
Yeah.
We are. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
you're beautiful. It's
really,
true.
It's really incredible that we can have the ability to never make mistakes. It's a rare talent, I know.
We definitely never talked about how I didn't like Konosuba, and now you will never hear about it.
Yeah, I mean that's just that's going to be the Patreon exclusive. Is you can get Tyler's entire like when Martin Luther nailed the 92 sins to like the door of the church. Mm-hmm. That's what Tyler did to Trey and I with Konosuba.
Yeah, and I thoroughly convinced them. They now hate that show.
I know.
Yeah, I don't even like any TV show.
I've now converted to I'm an Amish now.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'm an
I went the extreme, Tyler. You can't just make. You can't just.
No more electricity.
So wait, if you're an Amish, does that mean you're recording this with like two birds and a piece of parchment?
Yeah, I currently have a mule tied to a post, and the mule. I'm talking into the mule right now.
Well, it's fine if he uses it as long as it's not in his home. Just has to be outside. Yeah.
Yes. I'm at a McDonald's.
See, it's also fine because again, we can make fun of the Amish as much as we want. They're not going to hear it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. See,
so take that.
It's a blameless
fucking
crime.
Jebediah.
Yeah, you goddamn beardy ass motherfucker.
Who do you think you are, building fine, affordable sheds at discount prices?
Yeah, how do you get off having delicious jams, breads, and butters?
Yeah, some of the best donuts I've ever had.
Oh, wait, I have never had an Amish donut.
Oh, it's so good.
It is like what separates it? Like
I don't know. It just
like how do they heat a fryer? Do they heat it over like a fire? Is it a fire?
I mean, I would
That's
imagine.
dangerous.
Like wood stove? I don't know.
Cast iron?
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know
Dutch
how
oven?
they do their Amish magic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not Amish. I've never spent long periods of time. I spent enough time around the Amish to buy their delicious baked goods, and then I leave.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess if you're Amish, feel free to email the podcast and let us know how to make an Amish donut.
Send me a message on Facebook or Discord, and I'll definitely get back to you. Except for you, Jebediah. You fucking glasses wearing motherfucker.
I'd also accept a telegram
personally. In your arms, piece of shit.
Now I'm just thinking about donuts. Podcast is canceled. I'm gonna go get a donut. But anyway. Yeah, so we had a bye week, just to kind of lead in. Sorry about that. We all were busy with family, work, school, and just didn't wanna. Yeah. It was a serious case of the fuckets, actually.
Yeah, mostly that. Yeah. Mostly just didn't wanna.
Almost entirely out of spite. I think Trey actually emailed me, which was weird because Trey doesn't email.
Yeah,
but he just emailed me saying, Dan, man, I sure cannot stand the idea of having to talk into a microphone about TV or anime and or other things this week.
For an entire hour? Like, come on. How many of those do we have a day?
Like 50, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but anyway, so some things happened. I think... we're going to gloss over Tyler's little discussion again. Patreon exclusive. Sub to us on Tumblr. Let's get into something. Trey?
Yes.
Trey?
Yes.
Trey?
Yeah.
Tyler and I... Well, Tyler, I don't think you've watched this show at all. It's the big show. It's the one.
Mm-hmm.
It's Game of Thrones.
Oh, boy. Oh, yeah. Nope. Are we doing this? We open it up? We open it up with a
I think we should open with it. Let's open strong.
Okay. All right. We have to establish something first. Am I allowed to spoil it?
I think yes, because I don't know, Tyler, you can kind of wait. I feel like spoiler culture with Game of Thrones didn't exist, especially this last season.
I think people
honestly, I basically know what happened, and I've never seen the show.
Yeah, people were spoiling this all over Twitter like the second it happened.
Yeah, which I think is crazy. So
we'll just say spoiler warning, but.
Yeah, spoiler warning.
We'll say spoiler warning.
I won't spoil anything for the rest of the show. It's just the ending. It's weird, I know, but like, there's some really because like here's the thing. I genuinely think Game of Thrones is still one of the best shows ever made, as long as you just ignore the last 2 seasons. Which is weird. Well, it's like a Lost effect. Where it's
granted,
like,
I feel like I heard some people say some of the best episodes were in this last season. Like,
well, here's the thing. Like, if we're talking just straight, if we're talking acting, cinematography, and music, then these episodes were stellar, absolutely fantastic, probably the best in the series. Like, if we're just talking just spectacle, then yes, 100%. I get where they're coming from. If we're talking about writing and story, I think this is a solid 4, maybe out of 10. Like it is real bad. There's a few reasons for it. I guess I'll get into those. I've been putting on my lore head pants, and that's a weird sentence I just came out of my mouth. I went to YouTube and started digging on like why this season was so shitty, and apparently so usually the episode seasons of Game of Thrones are 10 episodes, right? So 10 episodes, each one's an hour long, no commercials, like an actual hour because it's HBO and they can do that. And the last 2 seasons have been shorter. I think season 7 was 7 episodes and season 8 was 6.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I've been reading, HBO actually wanted the showrunners to do 2 more seasons with 10 episodes each for the end bit of it. And they didn't want to do that because they wanted to go make Star Wars instead. They've actually been offered by Disney to make the new Star Wars trilogy after this current one's over, which I'm not fucking seeing that. So there we go on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goodbye, Goodwill. I guess they'll save some money, I suppose, or watch watch it when it's somebody pirates it. Not naming any names, but basically that's the major issue with this season is just the fact that the writing was terrible and it felt super rushed, like super rushed. Like it didn't. There were some plot points that just never got resolved, and they were built up over like the entirety of the series. I guess the one that comes to mind, and this one is a spoiler, but it's not a major one for a reason that he doesn't do anything. There's a character called Bran, and he's like the fulcrum for the entire like big ol' Westeros fight club thing. Like everybody goes to war because the Lannisters, Jaime and Cersei, push him out of a tower when he finds them doing the nasty in there. And their brother
isn't it like
and
the
sister.
First episode?
Yeah, first episode, their brother and sister. He climbs the tower. He's told not to. He climbs the tower. He goes up there, and it's just Jaime and Cersei, doing it. And Jaime pushes him out of tower. And that's basically the whole, like, everybody knows that he did it, and that's basically, like, the whole reason Ned goes to King's Landing, and then bad things happen from there. But so, he breaks his spine, he can't walk for the rest of the series, but he finds out that he can ward, which is, like, a magical thing where he can, like, put his mind inside of animals and control them. And he's been being built up this entire series, like, from the first episode. He's been building up to like be this like super powerful magi guy and do battle with like the White Walkers, which are these like crazy zombies. And he doesn't do anything. And that's long story short. He doesn't do shit. The entire like all that build up was for literally nothing. He doesn't. The final battle comes and the King White Walker shows up. With his dick in his hand, he's like, I'm gonna piss on this castle, and he's just like, I'm gonna be some birds for a while. That's actually almost a quote. I'm barely paraphrasing. He just literally is just like, I'm a bird now, and then he just flies off, and that's the entirety of his contribution for the rest of the show, basically.
That's what I heard was like, if I can just kind of interject real quick about something you brought up, the White Walkers and the White King, Snow King showing up.
The Night King, yeah.
The Night King. I heard, like, man, did they get shafted in terms of a fight.
Yeah. Well, there's a few problems with their fight. One, it was too dark. It'll probably be fixed, like, in, like, the Blu-rays and stuff. But, like, for digital streaming, it was way too dark. You could barely see what was happening. Which is a problem. They did on purpose. They wanted to make it dark to be like, oh, it's really hectic and you can't see shit. But weirdly enough, in a visual medium, when you can't see shit, it's a bad watching experience.
Yeah.
Weird how that happens.
I feel like that's particularly true for like home viewing and stuff, where
exactly.
Sometimes the lighting of the room and everything is just.
Or if it was a theater or a Blu-ray, I bet it would be fine. Like when you have like those crisp colors, but like for streaming, you're gonna have some degradation, and it shows like you can't see shit some scenes. It's just like a big mess. Yeah, but for that, the reason that the White Walkers were so disappointing, and is just because they've been this big bad since literally the first episode. Like they show up in the first scene of the entire show. They show up and kill some guys, And that's like your big intro to like, oh, there's a big thing stirring, and all these people in Westeros are playing politics, and they're not going to be ready when we come over the wall. And it turns out they were ready because they all died in one episode.
See, I kind of heard that was like almost a thing the show was trying to go for, though. And I was going to get your opinion. Is like they were supposed to be hyped up as this, but it wasn't that bad. So it kind of puts in perspective like all of this fighting over the throne and all of this politicsing a bunch of the people were doing just didn't matter.
Well, no. See, that's the opposite of what happened, though, because the politicsing was the thing that mattered the most, as it turns out, because like, here's how I always thought about the White Walkers. They're like a natural disaster. They don't want anything, really. You can't negotiate with them. They don't have any, like, they don't have a plan that makes any sense by our standards. They're literally just a big wall of corpses that just want everything dead. That's just like their whole thing is that's it. That's all they want. And I think the whole thing was like with Westeros, like people were sitting around playing like Who's the King games while the undead were like lifting weights in the north or something. And that the thing is they weren't prepared for this. Like that they basically immediately lost like all their people, and it was like, excuse me, like how did you just win in one fight? But like I see what you mean. Like it was supposed to come off as like, oh, they weren't actually that big a deal. It was like a subvert your expectations, quote unquote, sort of thing. But I don't.
But did it feel like that?
Well, it felt like I just wasted my time because they spent a lot of time building up the Night King as this like huge threat. Like if he wasn't a huge threat and they were trying to build him up to be a huge threat, I feel like they could have done that in a shorter span of time than like literally the first minute of the first episode.
Yeah, like maybe that could have been a seasonal thing or not.
Yeah, and what it actually makes it happen is like it's setting up this whole like, oh, the politics were like petty and like the affairs of humans are nothing compared to this natural disaster that's coming towards us. But then literally the next episode they're back to politics. So like what exactly was the point of the Night King at that point? Like there's like 3 characters, 2 of which were minor, died. One of which two of them also had like all their character arcs fulfilled like the episode beforehand, so like you knew they were done. All the main characters had fucking plot armor so thick you could fucking shoot an Abrams tank at it and it'd probably be okay.
And they'd be fine.
Yeah, like literally, I'm not even kidding. There's points where Brienne, that she's a strong night lady, she's literally covered in a pile of corpses, screaming her goddamn head off, and you're like, oh, she's super dead. This happens 3 times. By the way, she's like, she's super duper dead. They're all on top of her, stabbing her and whatever. And then Jaime walks up, like hits him a couple times, and then she gets up like nothing happened. And I'm like, excuse me. And there's another character, Sam, who just like he's a fat guy. That's like his whole like he's a smart guy who's fat, and he's not good at fighting, and that's his whole thing. He gets fucking killed like 3 or 4 times that fight and just walks it off. Like he just gets surrounded and is buried, and then like. They cut the scene, then he cut back to him, and he's fine. And it's just like, what is happening right now? Why is this
it's the power of being thick.
Yeah, when you're a thick boy or a thick girl, you just can't die in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's it.
Obviously, and I feel like we just like that kind of plot armor just didn't exist in previous seasons. Like, when characters made mistakes in previous seasons, they were super heavily punished for it. Like either killed or like maimed for the rest of the series. Bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not something that was in this. And obviously the big thing was like Daenerys going all Mad Queen, all like somebody flipped a switch and she decided to be evil and genocide a city. That is a thing that happens. I don't want to talk about it because I think that's what's going to happen in the books too.
Yeah, but in the books it might have a better build-up.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, she doesn't... Because, like, here's the thing. The last episode of Game of Thrones is actually pretty good. Like, the last episode is pretty good, it just doesn't feel earned. Like, when Jon's confronting Daenerys and she's obviously, like, in fucking La La Land crazy, it feels very genuine, but I'm like, you know what didn't feel genuine? She fucking won, they were surrendering, and then she's just like, well, better burn the city down.
Yeah.
Better kill like 100,000 people real quick. Might be.
Yeah. That's
I'm not gonna get too, but I don't want to like waste too much time, especially because you guys haven't watched it. But
yeah, I just figured I wanted you to talk about it. Maybe we can count it because like as an outsider looking in, it's kind of just looking at it. Yeah, I don't know.
Here's the thing though. I just can't. It really sucks because I genuinely think people should still watch the show because it's really good. Like it's really, really good up until like after season 6. Like season 7, like season 6 had some bad moments. Like there's a plot line that goes nowhere, and this is all. And then that wasn't in the books, but like season 7 and season 8 were really, really stupid. But like man. Six out of 8's a pretty good track record, though. Like,
no, I think that's kind of the thing. I think like where I'm at, I don't know, Tyler, if you're in the same boat. I still might watch the show even more so now that it's all done and I can kind of binge it.
Yeah. I think it's worth it. I still recommend it, even as long as you know the ending's not going to be satisfying. Like. Yeah. The journey, like, it's one of those, like, as cliche as that sounds, it definitely is a journey over destination sort of thing, where, like, the journey is just so good that, like, it's worth the, like, heartache at the end. And I really do feel for all the fans who are disappointed by it, because, like, it was 9 years of our lives that we just kind of, like, lost, basically.
Well, I feel like that's the thing, too, binging it. I'm not going to get that. Like, it's just... Yeah, like, people have been watching it since the beginning, have all of this invested in it, where I have basically nothing invested in it, except for just watching it casually.
Yeah. I mean, but I honestly, from what I've heard from a few YouTubers who binged it, because I hadn't seen it until last season, apparently it's better as a binge show anyway, so...
Okay.
Yeah. Like, you'll notice more things. Like, episode to episode, you forget a lot. There's a lot of names and a lot of proper nouns to remember, so, like...
Oh, goodness, that's gonna be the worst for me. I'm already bad with names.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you do it a lot at once, it's easier to remember, like, location names and, like, banner names and stuff like that, house names and all that.
Jeez, like, I was watching a show last night, and they, like, mentioned a name, and then, like, the very next, like... scene, basically, I was like, okay, who's that person? I know they just said.
I'm right there with you. I forget names all the time, but it's they're repeated enough and they're shown enough that I think it's not too hard to follow.
I 100% get that too, especially just kind of an example, even more so with anime, because fucking I don't understand Japanese names.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fucking terrible at it. I still can't name all the Ginyu Force members. I've seen that show so many times, and also Team 4 Stars. I still don't know all the Ginyu Force member names.
It's all just dairy puns, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or no, sorry, it's refrigerator puns.
But that's my hot steamy take on, not really a hot take, I think it's the majority take on Game of Thrones.
The last thing I'll say on it, the last thing I'll kind of say about the whole thing is I just like, looking at the meme economy of it, or just real quick, the freaking... No, I just, like, not even from, like, memes, but, like, Lord of the Rings fans have started just, like, flaming Game of Thrones fans, like, oh, we're clearly the superior fantasy, and I'm like, don't you act like the Hobbit movies don't exist.
We can't pretend like the Hobbit movies weren't a steaming pile, too, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, no, well, I had 2/3 of the Hobbit movies were steaming piles, and half of the first one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe 1/5 of those movies is decent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you get to the barrel scene in the first movie, god damn, is that some bad CGI? I can't believe they had so much money.
I just don't understand. Yeah, the budget is so much higher than the first Lord of the Rings trilogy, and like it looks so much worse. And I think it's because like the Peter Jackson, the first one, tried to use practical effects basically whenever possible. Like if it was possible to do a practical effect, he just kind of did it. Whereas Hobbit was like 90% CG, like, and you could tell.
Yeah. Oh my god. We're not getting into that.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
I get into a whole discussion on the fact that movies are way too reliant on CGI nowadays, but I won't get into that. What have you guys been doing? I've been talking for a while.
Yeah, we're good. I got you rolling on. Tyler, what have you been up to, Tyler? Let's listen.
So
we missed you for a week or two, so we get into this.
I've done a lot of things because I've been on vacation and have had some time. So the first thing, I watched a new Netflix anime called Revisions, I think. It was interesting. It was a pretty good show. I thought the animation was pretty solid in it. And the story was fine. Oh yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that was the standout from what I've heard about it, is that the animation was pretty good, but like the story was very, very generic.
Yeah. The main thing is they really stirred it off in such a way that I was like, okay, this is gonna be a show similar to what is it, Knights of Sidonia, where they live in a very brutal world and people will just die. Mm-hmm. Essentially. And it started off that way. In like the first episode, you see several people get kind of brutally killed. Right. And I'm like, all right, so this is the kind of show I'm getting in for. So I watch a second episode. It completely turns away from that. And then like the whole rest of the show, basically nobody dies except for like
no. They didn't
villains.
They didn't just do that. They didn't just go.
They Sword Art Online did.
They totally just bait and they've baited you so good. Is what it sounds like.
I was like, okay, this is gonna be kind of a brutal, kind of more realistic version of a like. So the whole show, just to give a little bit of a premise here, basically, there is this kid who, when he was younger, he was told by this woman like, hey, you're gonna be like a hero in the future, like trust in yourself and like be ready, and everybody's gonna rely on you. And so he gets this huge hero complex and kind of becomes a complete dick, and like is constantly doing things like trying to save his friends and stuff. Like if he sees them in any small amount of danger, he just like rushes in and will like beat up anybody who is mistreating them and just completely aggro on people. And it is, he's not a redeemable character really.
I've heard that. I've actually looking at reviews for it because I was interested in watching myself because the trailer looked interesting. I heard that the main character's kind of he's like
he's the worst part of the show.
Yeah, like he's very easily the worst part. Like he's just so annoying to watch that people just like I couldn't stand watching it because he was just impossible to root for.
Yeah, and he never really has that much of redemption.
I heard he just kind of gets rewarded for it.
Yeah, he really does. Like they kind of tried like for quite a while. It seemed like they had several attempts where they were like punishing him for being a dick, and then like it completely like went past him and he did not get it at all, and then he seemed to for just a second, and then he's like no I'm right, and
that would frustrate the ever-loving shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie.
And then they rewarded him for it.
I hate when protagonists don't grow as characters. It's like one of my big pet peeves.
That's
like
yeah.
Honestly, when a character has an experience and they just don't grow. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, yeah, that's okay. That's my biggest issue with the show, honestly, is just that. The other characters around him were fine. They just didn't get enough attention. Mm-hmm. Because it was way, way, way too focused on just him.
Yeah, and he sounds... See, I'm probably going to skip it then, actually.
Oh, no, dude. Its animation is okay. Like, if you've seen... Yeah. You said you watched a trailer or something for it. You probably have what you need out of it.
It reminded me a lot of there was an animated movie. It's not Eden of the East. It's like
Eden of the East was good. At least I liked it.
It's like something Paradise, Lost in Paradise, or something like that.
Okay, I
think it had very, very similar. It might even be the same studio. It looked very similar to that, which had good animation and also had a terrible story. So maybe it really is the same studio.
Yeah. I'm just since you brought it up, Eden of the East. If you haven't seen it, it's
very good. Yeah, Eden of the East
good.
Is
Watch it.
It's
fantastic. The main character wakes up like butt naked with a cell phone and a gun in front of the White House.
I fucking love the part where he just starts pointing at people and they just start dying. That was so good.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That was so well choreographed. Like, it was very, very cool.
It's such a good show. Anyway.
Yeah.
Back to Revisions just for a bit. The whole story is basically they get... Like, after the kid grows up and he's being a dick to everyone, finally, like, it happens, and like the section of the city he's in gets teleported into the future, and the world, I guess some like virus spread and basically like destroyed humanity and converted a huge portion of the population into these basically monsters that feed off of other humans.
Yeah, it's a mecha, right? Like it's
it's basically a mecha. It's he does have kind of this mecha suit. It's not a big mecha. It's kind of like slightly larger than human mecha.
I'm not super huge fan of like the exosuits where like your arms and legs are sticking out like that.
Oh yeah, his whole body is just kind of exposed. Like it seems like it would be really easy to just kill him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he finally gets his chance to use it, and at first, of course, he like just completely stammers. Like, honestly, the first episode is the strongest episode because you just see people acting like people in a tragedy.
You know what? Like, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. Where like even the teacher like is like, okay, this crazy creature is on the roof of the school and is killing people, and just chooses to save herself over saving the school kids.
Right.
And like slams the door shut of the roof so that the creature will be like, I guess, distracted by the kids on the roof and she can run away. And you see that, and she later like seems to feel bad about it, although they weirdly made her out to seem possibly like a villain, and they never really did anything with that. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There was a lot of things that went on in that they just felt like they had some kind of idea of, or they were trying to maybe fool you, and then they just never followed through with it.
Yeah. Is it 12 episodes, right?
Yeah, it's not that long. It's pretty short. I mean, again, I was on vacation, so it was fine to watch there.
I
was just sitting in a hotel room waiting for night. But yeah.
Fair enough, yeah.
So it was okay for that. Honestly, there's a lot better shows.
Yeah. I mean,
it's in the end, it's not the worst thing ever. I mean, my normal, I guess, just lukewarm take on things. It's not the worst thing ever. The animation's pretty good. There are a couple interesting characters. There's a few moments of absurdity that are just kind of like, okay, I didn't see this coming. It kind of gave me the same impression later on that like the Full Metal Panic Fumofu or whatever, the weird one where the main character is just wearing like an outfit the entire time. And it makes no sense, and I'm not sure if it's part of the main canon. It seemed kind of like that, where it's just super serious, and then suddenly, like, weird and off the wall for no real reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. All in all, it's okay.
Yeah, it seems like a long-running series of shows on Netflix recently that have just been okay.
I know Trey and I were going to talk about that the other day.
Like, as I was going to bring up a discussion of like, why is it good that Netflix is just so willing to just fund everything? We don't have to talk about that this week. I'm a little out of it. I don't really want to have that kind of discussion, but
it's made some interesting things.
Something to think about, because like they just kind of throw content out, and a lot of it, recently it feels like to me that they've the quality has been lacking.
Yeah. I will say the main cool thing about it is that Netflix is giving more money and time to more underrepresented groups.
Yes.
Which is cool. That part is really interesting to me. And I mean, it's just like any group. Like, you're going to have good and bad media getting made.
Yeah, I feel like recently, and maybe this is obviously anecdotal, because like I obviously don't watch every show on Netflix, but it has been I've been having a hard time finding a Netflix original that has like really captured me recently, that wasn't like an already long running show.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've talked about this, Trey, but have you finished the second season of the OA?
Yes, I have. I did finish the second season of OA.
I know. Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Do you mind if we talk about that briefly?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
So, I guess potential spoilers in here as well. Mm-hmm. This is just going to be a spoilery episode, I guess.
Yeah, just call the episode "Spoilers." Turn back now.
Yeah. So, what did you think?
I enjoyed it. I genuinely thought it was cool. I thought I have a few hiccups, mostly with some with the villain and a little bit with how mystically it's gotten.
Yeah.
Because I really liked it. I really enjoyed season 2. I thought the setup for season 3 was interesting. That whole thing with the house still kind of confuses me. I'm still not entirely sure what that's about, but
yeah, there's some weird things that happened in there.
Yeah, especially towards the end where he goes to the window, and I still kind of only just kind of understand that.
Yeah, where he looks out.
Okay, here's a little consistency error, and maybe you can explain this if we're spoiling things. Where did those robots come from? When did he have time to build those?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I have no idea because those are
in canon. Only 2 days had passed since that lady left. So what the fuck? Where did they come from? They were huge.
Yeah, and the fact that he was able to make a perfect recreation of a thing he saw once.
Yeah,
and how? Make it work in 2 days and on that scale. Oh goodness, yeah.
That's definitely a. We just needed this to happen, so we just kind of contrived a way to make it happen. Yeah. But it was I saw it and I'm like, where'd those come from? How'd those get there? That's a little weird.
I will say there's a lot of things I did like about this season. I liked the scene in the psychic's house.
Yeah, that was cool. I liked a lot. Basically, every character every time they switch back to the real world, quote unquote, I really enjoyed it. Those are my favorite episodes, are the ones where they were in.
I like that part. Granted, they killed off my favorite character immediately.
Oh, that was your favorite character?
Nope. I mean, How could you not like that character?
He was just cool. I liked him. But
so the character, and of course now I forgot his name. I think it's Knight or something like that.
Yeah, Old Knight.
Old Knight. Best character in the show. It is a giant octopus that, when it puts its tentacles on OA, it can just talk to her. And so she communicates the octopus's message, and then the octopus is hey, if you really want to have an answer to your questions and stuff, I'm gonna have to basically give you a near-death experience, which is a huge running thing in the whole show.
Yeah, it's the whole thing is centered around NDEs.
Near-death NDEs, where it's just you get visions basically of, I think, the future mainly.
Yeah, the future, other realities.
All sorts of stuff through near-death experiences. So, basically, the main villain in the show kind of discovered this and kept a bunch of people captive and gave them repeated near-death experiences. And the OA, the main character, she was one of these people. So, yeah, Old Knight, this octopus is hey, I'm sorry about this, but here we go. And he seems to know everything. I don't know.
Yeah,
he's weird.
He's weird. They bring him up later, he's some all-knowing, or he's in the know. He's in the know club.
Yeah. And he seemed to be talking about
surreal.
Other animals and stuff also kind of being in the know.
Yeah, or plants and just others.
Plants, and he wasn't the only one, but humans were, I guess, outside of this.
Yeah.
Weird. They hinted at so much weird and kind of interesting stuff that they just... Yeah. Maybe they'll get back to later on in the show.
I think it got confirmed for season 3, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, the way they ended this season.
yeah, they definitely set up for another season. Like I said, I have some complaints about it. I think it was overall. I think, especially cinematography wise, I think it was fantastic. It was really, really well shot. The actors gave it 120%. Like, it was very, very good. Some of the story beats just kind of confused. Like, maybe I'm just not smart enough, but I found a lot of inconsistencies in the season that I didn't catch in the first season. I guess that's what I'll say. Yeah, like. I found
it's one of those things that the story is so weird and contrived and not in reality that it's hard to...
Like, those might be purposeful. Like, maybe I'm finding threads that I'm supposed to find. Like, the story is so ambiguous at points that you could totally make that argument. But, like, there are points in that story where I just thought that it was, like, kind of, like, they just kind of made conflict just to have conflict, or, like, characters made decisions that didn't make a whole lot of sense, especially, like, looking back. But again, it's one of those artsy shows, so like it might have been a purposeful choice. Like, maybe the character's not acting this way because of a certain reason that I'm just not picking up. So like it's a complaint from my perspective, but it might not be a complaint from your perspective, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Still recommend it. I definitely think you should. I definitely think it's worth a watch. Obviously, we spoiled some things, so if you're here and you're listening, you probably already watched it. In which case, good for you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. If you haven't, even with what we've said, I recommend going back and watching it.
Yeah, it's a
honestly, I don't think anything we said is going to make sense until you get to it, because nothing in that show really makes sense until you get to it.
I mean, if you explain the plot of season 2, it already kind of spoiled. It already, like, I was
That's
telling...
true. Just the fact that saying a season 2 exists spoils it. Because, honestly, I think we had the best experience watching the first season and thinking that was where the show ended.
That was it. I legit thought it was over. Until you told me OA season 2 is out, and I'm like, excuse me? I thought that show was done. But, like, it's one of those shows where, like, it's so weird. Even explaining anything about the plot can kind of go into like even like tiny inconspicuous parts could like be considered spoiler territory.
Yeah. And honestly, if you didn't go and watch it immediately when we first mentioned it, then shame on you.
We brought it up like 3 or 4 times now. You should watch OA if you haven't. Even with what we said, it's very good.
Yeah.
Unless you don't like that kind of arty.
Yeah, if you don't like weird, I don't know.
Yeah,
kind of hard to follow.
Weird avant-garde kind of like cinema. I would maybe not watch. Yeah. Maybe don't watch it.
And I will say the first season is a bit slow.
Yes, it definitely is. Especially if when she's not saying stories, it can really drag. Like, that's the crux of the plot is when always telling stories.
Yeah.
So,
and honestly, it just like the whole thing. It feels like, I think it's intentionally done this way in the first season, where she's just telling her story, and then she has to end and leave for a while, and everybody, you included, has to wait for it to continue.
Yeah,
and you keep wondering, where is this leading to? And you feel that like same thing that those characters in the story must be feeling.
I think you're right. I think it is intentional. I think the directors did it on purpose. But man, it can like make it feel so slow and drawn out at some points where you're just like, come, I just want to see the story. Get to the story part. I don't care if this guy's getting bullied. I don't give a fuck. Give me back the stories.
Is the story.
I don't care if this guy is transgender. That's cool. Give me back the story time.
Yeah. No, it's again, good show. Recommend it.
Good show.
Mm-hmm.
So Dan.
So Trey.
What have you been doing? We've been talking a lot, and you haven't.
No, you're good. What have I been doing? Yeah. I mean, I haven't been doing as much. Let me think. What did I do? I started something I was actually really excited to, and then just kind of stopped, and I don't know why. I think I talked to you a bit about it, Trey, the other day, but I got on sale. I downloaded Chrono Trigger. I bought the Steam edition of it.
That's right, you did tell me about that.
Yeah, so I got Chrono Trigger, and I was like super excited to play it. A lot of people I know like have it's genuinely considered one of the best RPGs.
I will attest. I think it's one of the best games.
I'd love it. I'm not sure what they did for it, because you said you did the like remake or whatever.
I got this. It's the Switch edition, so it's an HD remake, and that's actually one of my biggest complaints I'd kind of have with it, is if you turn on HD, man, does that game's frame rate go to shit. It is not optimized for PC.
How does that work?
Oh, jeez.
I don't know. It is...
That game came out so long ago. Didn't that game come out in, like, 1993 or something? What the fuck?
Well, and the HD sprites also just look kind of bad. I mean, that might just be my taste. It looks kind of bad.
Because honestly, I still think the original's beautiful. Like,
you might be right. I mean, it happens a lot when they remake sprites from older games. Like, I think Final Fantasy 3, like actual 3, or was it, or Final Fantasy 6? One of those two. They had a remake, HD remake, quote unquote, and. If you look at the pictures, it looks like a mobile game. Like, whatever artists that got to remake the sprites did a terrible job.
Yeah.
Like, actually,
so I mean, it might be that. Yeah, it might be kind of that. And then, I don't know, this might be, like, I was playing it, I was having fun, but I don't know. Maybe this is just, like, maybe just because it is kind of like one of the originals.
Yeah, I will say, how far did you get?
I'm about 4 hours in.
Okay, because it does take a while. Like, you have to, like, get past the first zone, like the first time travel sequence. Because, like, I had to restart the game like 3 times because I thought I think the beginnings were really, really slow, like unnecessarily slow.
Maybe that's it.
Like, especially the festival. I thought the festival was boring as shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, festival's boring as shit. I think the first world you go to is actually really, really boring.
The time travel to go save Princess What's-Her-Nuts again.
That was really, really stupid. So, like, I'm with you there. I do think it really picks up, though. So, it really, really picks up. It just takes a bit. My personal theory is that they were kind of finding the game in that, I think they were still finding, like, the game space when they created those areas. Like, they were still figuring things out. But, like, once it hits its stride, like, man, that game is such a fucking trip. It's a really good time.
Yeah, I think maybe that's just the big thing with this. It feels like, maybe, again, because I know it's kind of one of the original ones, but from playing a few JRPGs, I don't think it really adds anything. Like, I can't say... From what I played so far, I can't say I've gotten any sort of unique experience, or that the story has been super interesting.
I think the thing that might also be because a lot of JRPGs took from Chrono Trigger, so like you kind of like you might not be getting that unique experience because of the fact that it's kind of other games have kind of done what Chrono Trigger did afterwards. So
I mean that could be it. It's just kind of, I don't know. I might go back to it and try again, but
I would give it and this is like a weird thing because like obviously you shouldn't have to give more than 10 hours of a game to really enjoy it, but like I'm not kidding. Like maybe Tyler can attest to this. Like the game really does pick up after a certain point. Like it really, really does pick up. But like I thought the beginning was super slow.
Yeah, and it's still one of the few JRPGs I've like really finished. Like it's a good. I don't know. I loved it, but it could be also when I played it.
I wish they would bring that battle system into more games because the idea of combining elements to make new attacks is really cool.
Yeah.
Like when you get into the meat of it, there's so many special attacks in that game. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you've really gotten into that much.
I've done a bit, and that's actually another kind of thing I have that again I think kind of ties back to the frame rate on this game, like butt chugging sometimes. Like, so because like if you hit the timing when enemies are near each other, you hit multiple people with these combo attacks. I've missed those timings because of the game's frame rate.
Yeah,
there's
timings. That's unforgivable to me. That game is so old; it should not have frame rate issues.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is like, and if you look at reviews, they kind of like patched. I know, but if you look at that's like the big thing on the Steam page, a lot of people have downvoted it because it's got these frame problems, and it's like, man, Steam, or just like publishers again. I know, like it's almost similar to like when I talked about Beyond Good and Evil. Yeah. No, Squeenix wasn't Beyond Good and Evil.
No, that was Ubisoft. But...
Yeah, because I know that was my same thing as like playing. Like I really wanted to play Beyond Good and Evil, but it refuses to run.
Yeah, well,
on PC.
That really fucking grinds my gears. Mostly because this, especially with Chrono Trigger, this isn't the first time Chrono Trigger has been remade. This might be the 4th time because like. Or the 3rd time because like the originally they remade it to the DS. Like they did a
I
DS.
think this is the DS remake.
Yeah, but like I played the DS remake, and without the updated sprites, like it didn't have the updated sprites. It just had it had like 3 new endings and a bunch of new content. And you had like touchscreen support for the bottoms. Like you had another screen so you could interact with. And it ran super good. So like I think this is actually a remake of that game. It's a remake of the DS port.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's
well, you mentioned something about timing, and I don't remember having to do any sort of timing things in the original game.
Because like when enemies move throughout the fight, you can hit timing because they move a bit. They're not static in the fights.
Do they? I don't remember them.
Between turns, they move.
Yeah, I thought they did just move like so. It's as soon as you hit your turn, though, they were static.
No, they haven't been in this so far.
Huh, I wonder if that's just a change they made to the game because I honestly don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I don't remember pressing button.
Like, I think I vaguely remember like beam attacks or something and being able to kind of line it up. I think I remember that, but
yeah, I put Tyler on this one. I don't remember having to like. There weren't any button prompts or anything.
I would be interested in having you like go back and play the original just briefly, just to see if it's a change, or maybe I'll need to pick up the remake.
I'm not crazy. Like, I swear I'm not crazy because I was doing like cross slash.
I believe you.
Or like, one of them like crossfire slash whatever it was. But it was like a thing where like the enemies would move. Maybe it was like as they were moving to attack. Like if you hit the timing just right on that with your specials, you can hit multiple enemies with it. And I was trying to really go for that on that because I was like, oh, I can just use one attack and kill all the enemies. That's a thing that'd be cool to do.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I still love the game. I think a huge part of it is just the soundtrack.
Yeah, I mean, it does have a fantastic soundtrack.
Amazing soundtrack. Like, definitely, like, past the Final Fantasy games, probably one of my favorite JRPG soundtracks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm coming at it from, like, a lore head perspective, because I really enjoy I really like games where you can fight the final boss early if you want to. I really love that, like, you can fight Lavos super early if you want to.
Like, you've probably already missed several chances too, or maybe you did fight him and who knows, but...
Yeah, like, I think that's a really clever idea and can only really be done in, like, certain games. Like, you have to, like, build the game around it, which they definitely did. I thought that was, like, from a story perspective, like, it's a really good time travel story, and if you ignore, like, the certain aspects don't make any fucking sense, because time travel stories are always messy.
Yeah.
But if you can get around that, it's actually, like, the threads that do, like, the threads they do bother to do the time travel stuff on are actually really interesting, and the places you go are super... There were places I didn't think they were gonna go when I was playing it, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. What?
Yeah, and it was the first JRPG that I played that did go some places that it went, which was a neat experience for me. And it
was very unique because like at that point when the game came out, Final Fantasy was already starting to establish its brand a little bit, and so like a lot of JRPGs kind of were copying them a little, I think.
Yeah, because
then Chrono Trigger comes out and it's so different. Like it's just like nobody had ever done that before, really. And because it was like, obviously I wasn't there when it was in its heyday, but like I can really respect it. Playing it, I played it like I think in high school.
Oh, before that for me, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't have the.
No, that's fair.
I played it on my DS, so
I found the website Cool ROM, which no longer exists anymore.
No, it does not.
Very early on. Yeah. I miss Cool ROM.
It's okay. I have a bunch of ROMs and ISOs I stole from EMU Paradise before they went down.
Oh yeah.
But I just have a bunch sitting around, just in a bunch of emulators.
I know. I was gonna say like, Dan, we'll send you the original. You tell us what.
Yeah, maybe. But I spent money on this one now.
That's true.
So I'll have to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be sad though if the remake was that bad. Like
frame rate issues are like I said before, I will say it again, I will reiterate, this game is so fucking old. That is so bad. How does that even happen?
Yeah. Well, is this one all still 2D? Or is it 3D?
Yeah. No, it's 2D. It's 2D. It's 2D. Yeah. It's 2D textured still. They update. You can switch on HD to update the sprites, so it's not sprite art. It's not like pixel art.
That's still, though, if it's 2D, I mean, granted, 2D can still be a lot of texture space, which can slow things down.
But it shouldn't be on a modern PC. You cannot tell me that would be a problem if it was optimized right. That game came out in 1995. So.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, that game's nearly as old as I am.
You cannot port that game that poorly and expect me to forgive you. Like, that's so bad.
Yeah. Goodness. Now that makes me wonder how the Secret of Mana.
I've heard bad things. I don't even see.
I think I've heard good, bad things as well. Where
if you look at the screenshots, it actually looks okay. But like, if you see the 3D in motion, it looks really bad. It doesn't look great. Yeah. Apparently, they've also quote unquote streamlined the battle system as well.
Oh.
Yeah. So I would say just play the DS. The DS remake of Secret of Mana too. Do that.
There you go. Just play.
Just emulate. Just get a DS emulator and play these games on that.
However much of a hard time, I think I remember giving a hard time to the Spyro Reunited trilogy.
Yeah, I remember you talked about that
when that came out. Yeah. But I guess I can see why you would not want to change much because.
Yeah. I know we were having a kind of discussion because they made the conscious decision not to mechanically change it. And looking back, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe keep it the way it was. You'll get a lot of brownie points from fans, and then it's less work for you. So maybe just don't.
Yeah.
Like Shadow of the Colossus is the same way. Like that game is gorgeous, like the remake, but like mechanically, it's almost identical. They didn't change anything. Which that game controls really poorly at times. Like the character will just stumble on nothing. Like he's really, but like I'm kind of glad they didn't change it because like if they had changed it in a meaningful way, like it may not have been like the same experience that I had.
Oh yeah,
before.
And you change one little thing with even like the way the character controls or anything like that, that can throw off the entire game.
Yeah, the balance of the game can just be completely different. So like I can't say I'm too frustrated when people like don't remove bad things from a game that they're remaking because like you might not want to remove anything from a game you're remaking, like just to keep the integrity of the initial release, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my big thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm hoping. No, it's okay. I'm hoping you give it another try at some point and like puts in some time. You might still not like it, but like me personally, I thought it got way better. After the first like third of the game, I thought it got like way better, and like towards the end of the game, I thought it was like one of the best JRPGs I'd ever played. So
yeah. See, it's kind of like I could see that, but. Again, for me right now, it's like at least from the beginning, and like man, like if it could have just had a stronger opener, but like man,
yeah, the opening is terrible. Like I thought maybe Tyler disagrees. I thought the festival was like one of the worst done. Like it's not a good sequence. It's just a time waster. Like it didn't resonate with me much at all.
But how else are you gonna know that robot's name is Gato and he has metal joints, and if you beat him up. You'll earn 15 silver points. Like,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, how else there's no other way to convey that.
Oh goodness, that made one of. There's a website called ocremix.org.
Yeah, I know.
Great website, but like I think one of my favorite mixes on there still to this day is the Gato. There's a Gato remix where it's just these people singing that song. In a bunch of different, like I think 4 different styles, and like one of them is like a phone ringing at the beginning, and he's like, "Hey girl," and like Gato, is that you? Yeah, you know I always love you. You know I got those metal joints. It's just so bad. It's
No, I mean, I respect that. I don't think we need to have all those pointless minigames.
I get it. Yeah, no, that's fair. And you don't really need to do it. I think I used to do it just to get the better weapons to start with.
Yeah, but on a first playthrough, though, you're not going to skip it.
But it's completely unnecessary.
It's bad. Yeah. Also, like, the first few, like, when you're first getting up to the castle and stuff, I thought that was pretty... Like, there's a lot of stuff I didn't like at first, but, like, once you get to there's a certain point that I remember where, like, it, clicked for me, and I'm like, man, this story's gotten really interesting. And obviously, maybe I'm breaking new ground saying this, but a story means a lot to me in a game.
Yeah. No, I feel like for that...
For me personally, if the story doesn't catch me, even if the gameplay is... There's some games, obviously. Like, if the game doesn't have a story and I know that going in, I can kind of avoid it. But, like...
Yeah.
A game is improved dramatically for me if I enjoy the story. Like it's head and shoulders. If I enjoy the story, it'll, like, really take off. Like, I guess Final Fantasy is a good example. Like, I don't like MMOs very much, but I really like the story in Final Fantasy, so, like, I'll put up with a lot of garbage grinding.
Yeah.
Just because I want to see what happens next. So, like, it's... And Chrono Trigger has a good story. I'll say that. It has a pretty good story.
Oh, yeah. Particularly once you get farther. Like, the story hasn't really even started yet for you.
Yeah.
If you're only, like, 4 hours in.
Yeah, unfortunately in a JRPG, it's kind of hard to be, like... Because, like, usually in games, it's like the 10-hour test, I think is what they call it. Like, if a game doesn't grab you in 10 hours, you should just put it down, because it will never grab you. But, like, for JRPGs, I almost think you have to have another, like, scale, because those games change so much, like, through your playthroughs.
Yeah.
Like Xenoblade, for instance. Like, that game, you get tutorials. I was getting tutorials 100 hours in that game, so, like...
Yeah, that again, it all comes back to Xenoblade.
Yeah, no, cannot... This is me.
Jeez,
this is
what
me,
is
everybody.
it? Like, Nier Automata, where, like, you beat the game, you get, like, credits and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then you still have tutorials. Like,
well, it's because you get new characters, and they have different ways to fight. Also, Nier Automata, one of the best games ever made.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
Best game. Fucking Yoko Taro is a mad person who should be in an asylum, but he's my mad person.
And another thing, amazing soundtrack also.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Nier games have some of the best soundtracks ever written. Also, if you can, there's a guy called Clamps on YouTube, and he explains the entire Drakengard Nier-verse. He's an insane British person who's really funny, but, like, those games have some fucking weirdo fucking lore. Like, absolutely out of your mind, brain, like, explosion, like, fucking galaxy brain, like, lore you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I definitely recommend it. It's really ridiculous. The fact that one of the joke endings where the dragon fucking goes into the real world and explodes leads to Nier is really fun. Like, it's just so fucking out there that only Yoko Taro could have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely recommend that. Like, even if you're not into lorehead like I am, like, just go watch them. They're really funny. Clemson's funny. Anyway, that was my hot take. Chrono Trigger, good game. Dan is give it another try. Tyler, Chrono Trigger was good.
All right. With that, I think that's we got him. Boy, ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yep. High five. Yep. Got him.
All right. Yeah, I think that seems like an episode. That felt like an episode. It feel like an episode to you guys.
All right, get out of my house. Go to bed.
See ya, dumpster goblins.
Bye.